All right, get ready. Today we're taking a deep dive into Thermax Ltd. and their really strong Q2 FY25 results.
Oh, yeah, they had some impressive numbers, didn't they?
Yeah, we've got their investor presentation, their press release, and even their auditor's report, so we can really get into the details here.
Excellent.
And one thing that really caught my eye was that 70% surge in their order book. 70%.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No, not at all. So what do you think is driving that?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Right.
Is this just a temporary thing, or is this a sign of what's to come for Thermax? What do you think?
Well, I think to understand that, we need to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture of what Thermax is all about.
Okay, yeah, good point. Set the stage for us.
So they're a global player in the energy and environment space.
Okay.
And they're pulling in a revenue of ours, 9,323 crore.
Wow.
They've got a presence in over 90 countries, 14 manufacturing hubs around the world.
Oh, wow.
They've got a team of 5,225 people. And they're really digging deep into these energy transition projects, which is a smart move considering, the whole world is moving towards sustainability.
For sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got this major player operating on this huge global scale. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the numbers. What were some of the key figures that jumped out at you in this Q2 report?
Well, definitely the press release was, highlighting this 13% rise in consolidated operating revenue, hitting ours 2,612 crore.
Okay.
And their consolidated P/Pay jumped even higher, a 25% increase to ours, 198 crore.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But of course, we can't forget about that 70% surge in their order book, reaching ours 3,353 crore. That's what we really want to unpack, right? Where is all of this growth coming from?
Well, a big chunk of it you can trace back to their industrial infrastructure segment.
Okay.
The investor presentation was talking about these two large orders. From an industrial conglomerate in Botswana, we're talking ours 1,029 crore worth of energy projects.
Botswana, interesting.
Yeah.
So they're really making their mark internationally.
Yeah, they are.
But it sounds like it's not just about these big one-off projects, though, right?
No, they're seeing this strong and consistent demand across a variety of sectors.
Okay.
Steel, chemicals, food and beverages, and even the booming biofuel segment.
Interesting. So they really have their fingers in a lot of different industries. It seems very strategic.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And they're continuing to expand globally as well, right?
They are.
With a new chemical facility being set up in Indonesia. It's like they're playing like a real-life game of risk.
I like that analogy.
Strategically placing all their pieces across the globe.
That's a good one. But while their expansion is exciting, we should also take a closer look at their profitability.
Okay, yeah, good point.
And one thing that stood out in the report was this Rs 66 crore incentive income they received from the Maharashtra government's package incentive scheme.
Okay.
So this definitely contributed to their strong Q2 performance. It's a little boost from the government. Makes sense. But then that also begs the question, how would their profitability look without that extra bump?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question. And to get a clearer picture, we should probably break down the performance of their different segments.
Yeah, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Starting with industrial products. The report mentions improved performance because of increased revenue and better margins.
Right.
Which makes sense considering that booming order book, right?
Yeah.
Seems like that segment is doing well.
Definitely.
But I'm curious, what's driving those improved margins specifically?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think to fully understand that, we need to go a little bit deeper than just these top-line figures, right?
Right.
Are they managing costs more efficiently? Have they been able to increase prices?
Yeah.
Or is it a shift in their product mix towards, higher margin offerings? We need to look into that.
Yeah, good points. Good points. Okay, let's move on to industrial infra. How did they do?
Well, Q2 profitability got a nice lift from that incentive income we talked about.
Right, of course, yeah.
But if you look at their year-to-date performance, it's actually lower compared to last year. And that's due to some cost overruns they faced on projects in Q1.
Okay, so a little bit of a mixed bag there.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you have to look at the big picture, not just focus on one quarter.
Right.
Okay. What about green solutions?
Green Solutions saw a revenue increase, which translated into an improved PBIT.
Okay.
So this aligns with that growing demand for sustainable solutions we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Companies are looking for ways to, reduce their environmental impact. So it seems like Thermax is in a good position to capitalize on that trend.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about their chemical segment? How do they do?
So chemicals faced some headwinds with lower profitability due to rising input costs.
Ah,
The
yeah.
classic input cost squeeze.
Yeah, a lot of companies are dealing with that,
It is.
especially right now. And speaking of the current economic climate, how might all this global uncertainty affect Thermex's performance going forward? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. I mean, while they're clearly riding a wave of momentum right now, that global macroeconomic environment is always a bit of a wild card.
Right.
It can change so quickly.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's something we need to keep in mind as we analyze their future prospects.
So a little note of caution there. All right, before we move on, let's do a quick recap of what we've learned so far.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, we've seen that Thermax is experiencing some robust growth driven by, these major projects, a healthy pipeline across a variety of sectors, strategic international expansion.
Exactly.
And while their overall profitability is impressive, there are, variations across their different segments.
Right.
Industrial products is doing really well. Green solutions is benefiting from that sustainability trend. But industrial infra face some challenges, and chemicals is grappling with those rising input costs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we can't forget about those macroeconomic uncertainties, which could really have a big impact down the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's that element of unpredictability that we always have to remember in the business world. But despite those uncertainties, Thermax seems to be making some bold moves to position themselves for future growth. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the most notable developments is their acquisition of a 51% stake in TSA Process Equipments for 71.14 crore.
Now, that's interesting. Tell me more about TSA Process Equipments and what they bring to the table.
Well, they specialize in chemical manufacturing.
Okay.
And this allows Thermax to kind of broaden their offerings in this sector. It's a strategic move to, diversify their portfolio and tap into new markets.
So they're not just riding the wave, they're paddling to catch the next one.
Exactly.
That's a good move. Anything else happening on the acquisition front?
Well, they've also incorporated a wholly owned subsidiary called Thermax Chemical Solutions Private Limited.
Okay.
And they are focused entirely on chemical manufacturing as well.
So an acquisition and a new subsidiary, both in the chemical space. That's a clear sign that they see potential there.
Yeah.
It's like they're doubling down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get too carried away with future predictions, let's bring it back to the present. What's the word on the street about Thermax's stock performance after these Q2 results?
Well, we can't give any specific advice on that, but it's definitely something worth looking into.
Right.
It's always good to see how market analysts are interpreting these results and what their predictions are for the future.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll leave that research up to our listeners.
Yeah.
But based on what we've uncovered so far, I think it's safe to say that Thermax is a company on the move.
Oh, yeah. And what I find particularly fascinating is their dedication to sustainable solutions and energy transition. They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk with these concrete projects and initiatives.
Totally. The examples they highlighted in their investor presentation were really impressive.
Aren't they?
A green steam plant for European food companies, wind and solar projects here in India, even a pilot plant for converting CO2 into methanol. It's pretty amazing.
It is.
They're really tackling it from multiple angles.
They are.
And I think that leads us to a really important question that our listeners can ponder. With this momentum and their focus on sustainable solutions, how can Thermax leverage these advantages to capitalize on the growing demand for green technologies?
That's a great question.
It is. We've explored Thermax's present, but their future is full of even more intrigue.
Absolutely.
They're at the forefront of this major global shift towards sustainable energy. It's a journey worth watching, for sure.
It is.
And speaking of journey, our journey into the world of Thermax isn't over yet. Hold on tight, we've still got more to explore.
Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the specifics of their innovative projects and the challenges they might encounter in this rapidly changing landscape. So let's shift gears a little bit now and look at some of the really interesting projects Thermax is working on. You know their motto, conserving resources, preserving the future.
I do, yeah.
Well, their actions really do speak louder than words, and we're about to see how they're putting that motto into practice.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about this. I love seeing how these companies are actually turning their sustainability goals into real-world solutions.
Yeah, for sure.
So what kind of projects are they working on?
Well, one project that caught my eye was the commissioning of this biomass-fired boiler for a major food manufacturer in Sri Lanka. It's a 20 TPH boiler.
Okay.
And it's just a great example of how Thermax is helping these industries transition to these, cleaner energy sources.
Yeah. Biomass boilers are a great way to reduce reliance on fossil fuels,
Yeah.
turning agricultural waste into a resource.
Exactly.
But I am curious, what are some of the challenges of doing a project like this, internationally in a different country?
You've hit on a really important point there. Every project has its own unique set of challenges, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're working in different countries with different regulations and infrastructure and resource availability. It takes a lot of, adaptability and expertise to navigate those waters.
Absolutely. Speaking of adaptability, another project that I thought was interesting was this hot water-fired chiller they installed for a mushroom manufacturer in Europe. It uses waste heat recovery, which I think is such a cool way to boost energy efficiency.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic example of how Thermax is finding these innovative ways to, optimize energy use.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, using waste heat to actually cool a facility. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's just a prime example of, thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and it's a win-win, right?
It is.
Reduces energy consumption, lowers costs for the company. It really makes you wonder, what other unconventional applications of waste heat are out there, just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
It's like a treasure hunt for energy efficiency.
It is.
But it's not just about energy efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're also tackling pollution head on, it looks like.
They are. They recently helped an Indian distillery manage its emissions by installing air pollution control equipment. We're talking about reducing emissions down to less than 30 millig NM3.
Wow, that's impressive. Especially for, industries that are known for their environmental impact.
Right.
It's crucial to have those kinds of solutions in place.
It
It
is.
shows Thermax is taking a really holistic approach to their environmental responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. And they're going beyond air pollution, too. They also provided a complete water management facility for a leading oil refinery.
Hold on, a complete water management facility? What does that even entail?
Yeah, so it's a comprehensive system that includes, water treatment, sewage treatment, effluent treatment, recycling, and even zero liquid discharge solutions, all of which are completely automated.
Wow, that's like a one-stop shop for water management.
It is.
That sounds super complex.
It is very complex. It requires a deep understanding of, the specific needs of the industries and also the environmental regulations. Let's go back to their industrial infrastructure segment for a minute.
Okay.
And those, massive orders from Botswana we were talking about?
Yeah, for the 2x300 milliW energy project. Those were some serious numbers.
There were.
So it's clear they're playing a key role in building up Botswana's energy infrastructure.
Yeah, they really are. And they're utilizing some pretty impressive technology for these projects, too, including 4x550 TPH CFBC boilers.
Okay, I'll be honest, some of those terms are going a little over my head. But the point is, they're using these cutting-edge solutions to get the job done right.
Absolutely, they really are. They're also commissioning a first-of-its-kind reciprocating grate boiler for a sugar producer in South India. And it's designed to handle a mix of bagasse, which is a sugarcane byproduct, and spent wash, a distillery waste product.
So they're finding innovative ways to use waste products as fuel sources. That's pretty cool.
It is.
It seems like they're always looking for new ways to improve efficiency and reduce waste.
Yeah, they definitely are. And they're not afraid to experiment either. Another example is this 1x8 millibore A cogen power plant that they've, synchronized on an EPC basis for a leading distillery in West Bengal.
Remind me what cogen stands for again?
Cogen stands for combined heat and power.
Right.
It's this highly efficient system that generates both electricity and heat from a single fuel source.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Ah.
It's like killing two birds with one stone, or in this case, generating two forms of energy. It's like those systems they use in hospitals
Right.
to generate power and hot water at the same time. Super smart.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so they're definitely hitting all the right notes when it comes to sustainable solutions in this whole energy transition. But let's zero in on their green solutions segment, where things get even more interesting, I think.
One of their flagship projects in this segment is this green steam plant they commissioned for a major European confectionery company and also a global food MNC.
Okay.
It's estimated to reduce emissions by 60,000 tons per year.
Wow. That's a huge number. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you that even industries known for, sweet treats can still make a significant dent in sustainability.
Absolutely. And it's not just large-scale industrial projects either. They've also commissioned a 2 mmWp solar project in Maharashtra and a 39 MWW wind project in Tamil Nadu.
So they're covering a lot of ground with their renewable energy portfolio. Wind, solar, biomass. It's great to see them diversifying their energy sources like that.
Absolutely. And here's another exciting development. Their Research Technology and Innovation Center, or RTIC, is collaborating with the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi,
Okay.
to develop a CO2 to methanol pilot plant. And this project is actually even backed by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India.
Wow, CO2 to methanol. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it does a bit. But they're essentially trying to capture these carbon dioxide emissions and convert them into methanol, which is a valuable chemical used in lots of different industries.
Okay.
It's a really groundbreaking approach to carbon capture and utilization.
Yeah, turning a harmful greenhouse gas into something that can be used. That's next level thinking.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic for a minute here. Every company faces challenges, even those that are performing really well. Are there any potential roadblocks that Thermax might run into?
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that even with, strong performance and ambitious goals, there are always challenges.
Right.
One concern that was highlighted in the investor presentation was, rising input costs.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it earlier with the chemical segment.
Yeah.
But it's a broader industry challenge that could really impact their profitability, if it's not managed effectively.
Right. It's like walking a tightrope,
It is.
keeping those costs under control
Yeah.
while remaining competitive.
Exactly. And another thing to consider is that global economic environment, right?
Right.
I mean, the presentation mentioned that, global PMI data for Q2 2024 kind of reflects this mixed market sentiment. Although overall positive, they're highlighting these regional differences.
Right.
And of course, the global landscape can change really quickly.
Yeah, little note of caution there.
Right.
Even with a strong order book and these, great projects, those external factors can still play a role.
They can, but it's not all doom and gloom. The presentation also highlighted some positive demand trends that they're seeing.
Oh, good.
Strong inquiries from, distilleries and chemical companies, metal producers, the food and beverages sector.
Okay, so some positive signals to balance out the risks.
Exactly. And there's growing demand in the biofuel and power segments.
Okay.
Plus, they've had some, pretty significant wins against competitors.
But it sounds like they're holding their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is encouraging. And they're continuing to expand internationally as well.
They are.
Oh,
Growing pipeline of projects all over the globe.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground here. And it's clear that Thermax is a really dynamic company with a lot going on. But I think it's important to remember that, behind all the impressive projects and the financial figures, there's a team of people.
Right.
Passionate people working toward this vision.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always important to remember that human element of business.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take a moment and kind of peek behind the curtain, get a sense of the company culture and their values. What kind of insights do we get from the investor presentation?
Well, one thing they highlighted was their recent Boiler India 2024 event in Mumbai.
Okay.
And it drew a huge crowd of industry leaders and generated, a ton of leads.
Now that they're actively engaging with the industry.
Yeah.
Showcasing their expertise.
Right.
That's how you build relationships.
Right.
And stay ahead of the game.
Absolutely. And they also used the event to launch some new products like their universal BioGrate-based solutions.
Yeah.
Green Pack and Green Block, and Thermion 2.0.
Always a good sign when a company is launching new products. Shows they're investing in R&D.
Yeah.
Committed to innovation.
Right. And they're also reaching out to customers through this Rediscover Roadshow series, which, recently made stops in Raipur and Bhubaneswar. These roadshows are a great way to, connect directly with potential customers.
Yeah.
And, promote those sustainable solutions.
Yeah, it's like taking those solutions right to their doorstep. Because it's not enough to have great ideas. You got to communicate their value.
Exactly.
Make them accessible.
And they're really generating a buzz around some of their groundbreaking initiatives as well.
Okay.
Remember that CO2 to methanol pilot plant we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, they held this, foundation stone unveiling ceremony for it. And it brought together Thermax's RTIC team, researchers from IIT Delhi, and representatives from the Department of Science and Technology.
Wow. It sounds like a real celebration of collaboration and innovation.
It really was.
Those kinds of events are so important for bringing people together, getting them excited about the future.
Absolutely. And you can really see that Thermax is cultivating this culture of collaboration,
Yeah.
both internally and externally.
Okay, well, we've seen their impressive projects, their commitment to sustainability, and we even got a glimpse of their company culture. What else is there to uncover in Thermax's world? I'm ready to go deeper. What do we have left?
Well, let's roll up our sleeves and dive into their financial reports.
Okay.
We'll look at their balance sheets, their cash flow statement,
All right.
and see what other insights we can uncover about their financial health and, their strategic priorities.
All right, let's crunch some numbers. I'm ready. Okay, let's dive into these financial statements, see what we can find.
All right, sounds good. Let's start with their consolidated statement of assets and liabilities.
Okay.
So as of September 30, 2024, Thermax has total assets of Rs 10,968.56 crore,
Right.
which is, a pretty significant jump from the Rs 10,153.01 crore they had at the end of the last fiscal year.
Okay, so their asset base is growing. That's a good sign, right? It means they're investing and expanding. But what exactly are these assets made up of?
Well, their biggest non-current asset is property, plant, and equipment,
Okay.
valued at Rs 1,763.54 crore.
Okay.
And then they've got, a substantial amount tied up in capital work in progress, which reflects all those, ongoing projects and investments we were talking about earlier.
Right, yeah, with all that expansion, it makes sense. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly.
What about their investments in other companies?
So they've got investments in subsidiaries totaling Rs 3,038.61 crore,
Okay.
and another Rs 28.60 crore invested in associates. And their financial assets, which include things like investments, trade receivables, loans, and other financial instruments, add up to Rs 502.05 crore.
So it sounds like they have a pretty diverse portfolio of assets.
They do.
All right, well, let's look at the other side of the coin. Their liabilities. What's the story there?
Okay, so their total liabilities are Rs 6,340.87 crore. And a big portion of that is actually equity attributable to equity shareholders at the parent company, which comes in at Rs 4,619.97 crore.
Okay, so a good chunk of their liabilities is equity, which means they're not overly reliant on debt,
Right.
which is usually a good thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But what about their actual borrowings? How much debt do they have?
So their non-current borrowings amount to Rs 11,147.91 crore,
Okay.
while their current borrowings are Rs 304.07 crore.
Okay, so it seems manageable, especially considering their asset base and how much revenue they're bringing in. All right, well, let's get to the really juicy stuff, the cash flow statement.
Yeah.
This is where we really see how money is moving in and out of the company. What are some of the key takeaways here?
Well, their consolidated statement of cash flows shows that they generated Rs 516.21 crore from operating activities in the first half of FY25.
Okay.
Which is a really, healthy, positive cash flow, indicating that their core operations are generating, significant cash.
That's great. So they're not just profitable on paper. They're actually bringing in the cash to fuel future growth.
Exactly.
Now, what about their investing activities? How is the money flowing there?
So they used Rs 2,272.96 crore for investing activities,
Okay.
mostly for, purchasing property, plant, and equipment, and for investments in subsidiaries, which aligns with their, expansion efforts.
Yeah, makes sense. For a growing company, it's pretty normal to have a net cash outflow from investing activities as they're, building for the future.
Right.
Okay, and what about financing activities? What's happening there?
So their net cash flow from financing activities was Rs 1,542.98 crore, primarily from, proceeds of borrowings and the issuance of shares to non-controlling interests. So this shows they're, actively raising capital to support their growth.
So they've got this really balanced cash flow picture.
Yeah.
Generating cash from operations, investing in growth, and strategically raising capital.
Right.
Before we wrap up, there was one thing in the auditor's report that I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
There was this mention of an arbitral award against Thermax for claims of Rs 218.45 crore. It was related to a dispute with a customer.
Yeah, it's important to be aware of that. The dispute arose from the failure of some, gas turbine generators that Thermax had supplied as part of a project.
Right.
However, the company has appealed the award, and they've actually gotten a stay from the Bombay High Court pending the outcome of the case.
Okay.
And they've also, made a provision of Rs 50.63 crore
Okay.
related to this, which seems like a responsible step.
Yeah, it does. Shows they're being prudent and transparent.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about covers it. We explored Thermax's financial performance,
Yeah.
their commitment to sustainability, and even dug deep into their financials.
I did. It's really impressive. They're a company with a clear vision, a strong track record, and a really bold approach to innovation.
Yeah.
Their dedication to the energy transition is really inspiring, and I think they're playing a huge role in creating a more sustainable future.
It's great to see a company that's focused not just on profits, but also on making a positive impact on the world. And it seems like their story is just getting started.
Yeah, for sure.
They're facing these challenges head on,
Hmm.
seizing opportunities, and constantly pushing the boundaries.
Absolutely.
So as you continue to follow Thermax's journey, remember that this is a story of innovation, sustainability, and the people behind it all. It's a story worth paying attention to.
Couldn't agree more.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us. Until next time.